It's Zena, your best friend who loves horror. So guys, I'm back obviously with another video, and we're going to be talking about board games gone wrong. So when it comes to horror movies with board games, you already know that it's not going to be a regular night of board games, okay? It's going to be a disaster. It is going to be dangerous. People are going to die. That's just what's going to happen because it's a horror movie, so you need to expect it. Even when it comes to the other genres, you already know that something dangerous still is going to happen anyway. As an example, look at Jumanji. Yeah, and the original one and the remake, they all thought that they were just gonna have like a nice time. Oh, it's just a game. It's just a game. And that was them playing the game going like that because they felt like it was just a game. But you know what happened to them? They were in danger. But at the same time, throughout it all, it was kind of like they kind of bonded together, you know, because they almost lost their lives and, you know, all these crazy things happening. And then it's like, yeah, we're friends. That was nice. But that's not how it is with horror movies. Yeah, they can bond and stuff like that, but that's if they survive. If they survive. So the first movie that we're going to talk about is the classic supernatural, The Exorcist from 1973. This movie is about a 12-year-old girl named Reagan who decides to play with a Ouija board. And she somehow gets in touch with this unknown mysterious entity that she calls Captain Howdy. And over time, she just starts to act a little weird, you know, not in a like, oh, I'm 12 years old, I do what I want, mom. Not that kind of weird, okay? She was doing some outrageous things. I mean, she was like urinating on herself. She was vomiting.
Oh, wow.
She was, okay, I'll just stop right there. She was doing like a lot of outrageous stuff that most 12-year-olds or people who in general, they just don't do. So her mom, she's like a fancy pants actress. She decides to get some help from these two priests in order to save her daughter's soul. Linda Blair plays the young girl Reagan, who is, you know, being possessed by this deranged demon. Being able to see her really just take on this role is so amazing because she is just such a talented actress. You know, along with her, you know, chilling performance as well as the incredible sound effects, and then on top of that, you know, matching it up with the like intense cinematography, all of these combined, it's like it makes such a frightening film. And I've always felt that The Exorcist is just a well-written roller coaster of terror. And I've always felt like people need to experience it at least once. And I said this to you guys before previously. I have a lot of friends who are not into horror movies, but there are certain horror movies that I do recommend to them, like whenever they're feeling frisky and they want to check out a horror movie. And The Exorcist usually is on that list. So the next movie I'd like to talk about is from Paco Plaza, and it is his supernatural horror called Veronica from 2017. So Paco Plaza, he's best known for his found footage horror movies, Rec 2, I know he worked on Rec 3, Rec 4. Yeah, so I had to include Veronica onto this list because it is loosely based off of a true event that happened of a young girl who actually did play with a Ouija board, and then she died like shortly after. And that still just freaks me out completely. So this film actually takes place in Madrid, Spain, and it's like 1991. And a teenage girl named Veronica, aka Vero, she decides to play with a Ouija board with her friends. They actually host a seance in the basement of their school on the day that there's actually a solar eclipse. So just a little bit of background about Veronica. She's the oldest of 4, and she has like a lot of responsibility, you know, taking care of her siblings, because her mom, she's always working all the time trying to make ends meet because her husband, Veronica's dad, he actually died, and Veronica's actually having a really hard time saying goodbye. And that's actually the reason why her and her friends decide to have like this seance in the school, because Veronica wants to be able to like have some type of contact with her dad's spirit. So basically Veronica's life is completely turned upside down after the seance, and she kind of feels that some type of, you know, presence has followed her back home to her apartment. When you're watching this movie, you really feel for Veronica, but then now there's some type of dark presence that's a part of their lives, and it's like she's already distressed, she's already anxious, and it's kind of horrible because she's living like a full-on nightmare, especially at night. I was completely horrified at night for her because there was something crazy always happening. And I remember when I first watched this movie, it literally gave me chills. Chills! Sorry, I just had to say it like that, you know. But no, it really did freak me out. It was like one of those movies that, you know, it scared me. It made me afraid to go to the bathroom at night, and I love that feeling. But there's a particular thing that happens in this film where basically these spirits, they're leaving huge imprints that kind of looks like a body on mattresses, and it's like dark shadows. So seriously though, this is one of like my favorite movies, not just horror movies. Whenever I get a chance to recommend it to people, I always recommend it to them. I feel that the director Paco Plaza, he has such a great way of like creating images that will linger in your brain for like years, clearly, because I'm still talking about this movie and it's been a couple of years since I've seen it. You know, and I'm honestly just eagerly waiting for him to return back to horror. Please bless our lives with another horror movie. The next movie we're going to be talking about is The Uninvited from 1944. And you know, this is a beautiful black and white supernatural horror movie, and I had to have it be on the list, even though it doesn't quite fit, but I just wanted a reason to talk about it. So here we are. So this film is about a brother and a sister, and they discover why they were able to purchase this beautiful gothic mansion that's on like the seaside. It's like literally right near a cliff. I don't know if I would want to live near a cliff, but it is like a very gorgeous home. But they find out the reason why they were able to purchase this house at such a steal, and it's because it's haunted. Duh. Okay? Duh. This brother and sister, you know, Rick and Pamela, they fall in love with this abandoned mansion. They just buy it for an extremely cheap price. And you know, the man who sells it to them, he kind of just seems really eager to get rid of it. But his granddaughter actually finds out about it, and when she finds out about it, she's not really happy because she has an attachment to the house. And what I think is strange, the reason why she has the attachment, which is like, okay, well, why would you want to keep it? I don't know, but whatever. Anyway, back to the brother and sister. They actually feel an unexplainable chill, you know, like there's like a breeze where there shouldn't be a breeze. They hear this woman crying, but they never actually see her. Doors slam, candles just completely go out. You know, it's like all these things that are happening, and it's pretty much just like, okay, the house is haunted, as I said before. And it just becomes very much apparent. And you know, that's one thing on its own when the house is haunted, but then obviously they decide to, you know, do a seance, you know, and even though it's not quite a game having a seance, they thought it was a game. So I had to include The Uninvited on this list because it really is just such an elegant movie, and I just think that it's magical and it's beautiful. This is the perfect movie for someone who absolutely loves like a classic ghost. Girl, what is a ghost? But this is for people who actually love a classic ghost tale. And you know, I just even feel like when it comes to the atmosphere, I feel like it screams spooky. And the reason why I wanted to put that out there is because I actually got into a little riffraff with someone, because you know, they were saying how they think that black and white movies are boring. But I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, what black and white movies did you watch? They couldn't answer me. Like, that's a whole different story. You probably didn't watch any. Point is, I tried to, you know, find out why this person was not a fan of black and white, you know, horror movies, but they couldn't really answer, you know, the question. You are missing out in life, buddy-o. So the fourth one on the list is going to be from Kevin Tenney, and it is Witchboard, 1986. So this is Mr. Tenney's directorial debut, and for those of you who do not know this, he actually directed one of my favorite 1980s movies. It was probably like one of the first horror movies I remember watching as a kid, and it's Night of the Demons from 1988. It is the perfect Halloween movie. Matter of fact, you know, Kevin Tenney, he actually directed 3 movies in a row about people messing around with things that they should not be messing around with. So you have Witchboard, Night of the Demons, and Witch Trap. All those people in these movies, they were literally doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing. What are you doing? Anyhow, Witchboard is about a woman who becomes outrageously obsessed with a Ouija board, in particular with a ghost that she keeps on contacting through the Ouija board. And you know, now her boyfriend and her best male friend, and they used to be friends but they're not friends, they decide that they have to put their differences aside and try to help her. So I probably didn't explain that correctly. So the girl's current boyfriend and then her best friend, who is a guy, you know, the boyfriend and the best friend, they used to be friends, but then, you know, the girl kind of got in between. I mean, she didn't do it on purpose. I'm saying it like I know, but who knows? Okay, so this movie is far from perfect, but I decided to add it to the list because I do feel like this is the type of movie that screams 80s. I actually, in a way, sometimes kind of prefer the sequel because I feel like that one is fun, but at the same time with this one, with the original one, I feel that the main character, her name is Linda, by the way, I keep on saying the main character, I know her name. The main character, Linda, she actually becomes more obsessed with this Ouija board, with the ghost, than Paige does in the sequel. And then there's a third one, but you know, anyway, there's lots of cheesy effects in this one. The acting is way over the top. The clothes are pretty awesome too. And honestly, you really just end up rooting for the characters because you love them. They're very much likable characters. So there you go. You know, next time Linda should have just left that whole Ouija board alone. Just leave it alone, girl. My nose itches. Okay, so the last one that I would like to talk about with you guys, it is going to be Open Graves from 2009. So I kind of saved this one last because I feel like this one is different compared to the other ones. And you know, I guess the best way I can describe it for you guys, it is Jumanji meets Final Destination. Ooh, doesn't that sound spicy? That's me being spicy. Okay. So this movie is about like surfer friends who discovered like this old board game called Mamba, and you know, it pretty much claims the lives of losers of the game. Not losers in general, but if you play the game and you lose, you die. So when the film opens up, it actually starts off in the medieval times, and we see this witch who is literally getting skinned alive, and yeah, she's getting skinned alive for all her crimes and all that stuff, and it's horrible, okay? I don't know why I'm smiling when I say that. That's terrible. She is getting skinned alive as punishment, I guess, for all her crimes that she's done. And then for some reason, you know, her skin and her organs, they're used to make this cursed board game. And then they named the board game Mamba. I told you guys about a little bit about the losers, but basically whoever wins the game, they're granted one wish. And again, whoever loses the game, and it can be multiple losers, then they die in the foretold way that the game said. Fast forward to the present day, you know, we meet these surfer friends and they're out and about and they're shopping and they find this board game, they decide to buy it. That same night they play the game, and then, you know, one of the players, as an example, he dies. And let me just say, the deaths in this movie, it is so creative. In the game, one of the players die. So he decides to go on a bear run, you know, to get, you know, because they want to get their drink on. I don't know why, what is that? Anyway, he decides to go on a bear run and stuff like that, and he decides to pull over because he needs to take a whiz, and he's, you know, urinating at the side of the road, and then he falls off the cliff. And you think, oh, he's dead. Is he dead, Xena? No, he's not. He's actually alive, but something else happens to him right after that. Like, you would think, like, man, I just fell off a cliff. Like, that's horrible. But something horrible happens to him, like where it's just like, yikes. And let me just say, it involves crabs and it involves his eyeballs. Just a heads up though, when it comes to this movie, it is very dated. It did air on the Sci-Fi Channel. I like Sci-Fi Channel movies though. And you know, the effects, unfortunately, they do not hold up. And yeah, but on a positive note though, seriously, this movie does start with a bang. And again, the deaths are super creative. But alright guys, so that's my list of my top 5 board games gone wrong. I'm interested to know, you know, which movies would be on your list. Feel free to comment below, and thank you guys so much for watching. talking horror, doing dance moves, looking into each other's eyes. We have a connection. Okay, no we don't. Ah, man. God, what am I gonna watch tonight? I don't know. Girl, what is a glow?